Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never. What you conniving, money. Money never, money never, money never, money. You can keep your conniving money. When you've been a corrupt, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Tom's TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruption over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. Stop fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Pastor, poor people governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Are you big and tall and feel left out? Well, full spectrum.
Arriving in the UK from Guyana, the Caribbean, North America, or elsewhere, start your journey with ease and comfort by choosing first-class travel service, one of UK's leading providers of premium airport transfers. Enjoy a smooth, stress-free arrival by booking your comfortable and reliable airport taxi before you arrive. With affordable rates and exceptional service, we cover all major UK airports, including Heathrow, Gatwick, Manchester, Birmingham, and many more. Wherever you land, we guarantee a seamless door-to-door experience to and from any UK airport. For your peace of mind, all our drivers are fully DBS checked and cleared, ensuring a safe and trustworthy service from the moment you arrive. Our friendly staff will meet and greet you in the airport arrival hall, assist with your luggage, and escort you to one of our luxurious vehicles. So wait no longer. We're ready to look after you from the moment you arrive in the UK. You can contact us via email info@firstclasstravelservice.co.uk, office phone +4 4195 2287 176, WhatsApp +4 479 136 0576 5 or +4 479 009 50171, or simply fill in our request, a quote form, at www.firstclasstravelservice.co.uk. Travel with confidence. Travel first class.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Rheinveld Market Meat section. Call us on 609-7168. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
My Guyana, my Guyana, my Guyana, my Guyana, Eldorado, best of all the world away. In my heart wherever I wander, memory enshrineth thee. All my hopes and aspirations, all my longings, only tie everlasting bonds around us as the fleeting years roll by. My Guyana, Eldorado, my Guyana, times unfolding and for my destiny, to redeeming lasting splendor of our years and lost to me, and the dawning of thy glory, for the long, long night is past. Oh, arise, triumphant, glorious, from the ashes of the past. Oh, arise, triumphant, glorious, from the ashes of the past.
dear to me than all the world. I see what sun is shine. Pour down upon the borders, looking out upon the deep, the great Atlantic flowed into a fury. For a sea at morn, at noon, or measuring the crimson sunset's glow. I love thee, I love thee, I love thee. Oh, oh, beautiful Guyana, oh, my lovely native land. Oh, dear to me than all the world, I see what sun is round. Pour down upon the borders, looking out upon the deep, the great Atlantic flowed into a fury. Flowed into a fury. For a sea, a sea, at morn, at noon, or measuring the crimson sunset's glow. I love thee, I love thee, I love thee, Guyana, I want to serve my country. Guyana, beautiful, happy, and free. Guyana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Guyana the free. Together, my comrades, we'll build a new Guyana, a country where all have equal opportunity. So let us begin now to show loyalty to Guyana by showing love and respect for all that it is.
My brothers, my sisters, we will live and die here together. Come on to one people, one nation, one destiny. For harmonious living, cooperation will be forever. In work and play as we live a strong Guyanese.
Guyana, I want to serve my country. Guyana, beautiful, happy, and free. Guyana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Guyana the free.
Well, it's time we settle all the rich lands in the interior. Our natural resources are there in great quantity. And we will do farming and establish towns by the border. With global food so we could fill all Guyanese.
My greatest desire is to serve my country, Guyana, and sincerely help my Guyana to move along. Our government asks us that we study hard and we learn the things that will help Guyana to become strong. Guyana, I want to serve my country. Guyana, beautiful, happy, and free. Guyana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Guyana the free. To help develop Guyana the free.
Hi. Hello. Good morning. Morning. Let's say. Oh, hey, the morning or your morning. It's 22 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. It's the 26th day of June in the year 2026. How you been? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How you feeling today? What is giving you hope? What is causing you consternations? Y'all know the word? Oh, shoots. This is a big word. Where do I come from, by? I find the meaning of the word consternations. What is that? I hope I ain't use the one like what was the word that y'all done president use? Man, I can't remember the word. Let's see if I find it because yeah, we got it somewhere. Let me see if I find it. Because I can't remember it.
And if there are economies in the region that will continue to lock our products out, we're going to break those locks open because we believe in reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity. We are ready to break the locks.
Reciprocity. I wonder if reciprocity and consternations find themselves in the same bracket. At least I find consternation on Google. I couldn't find reciprocity. And consternation is a noun. It describes a sudden overwhelming feeling of dismay, confusion, or disappointment. So would you say that word was correctly used in context from this banner from Buxton back damn side? Would you say I have command of my word usage? Because they say take the beam out your eye before you try with the spec from somebody else. So if you can't use the word consternation in a sentence correctly, then don't talk about people and their what's the word? Reciprocity. You know when I heard you say the word reciprocity, I thought about what them old people used to say when I was growing up. You know when I was growing up, and some of you, if you go in the village, you're going to know what I talk about. It might involve the use of an expletive, which I will try to avoid. But is how them old people just give wisdom in the community. You know, if you're growing up and you're a sickly child in the community, right? A sickly child in the community, bigger way of saying that one want makeover, right? That is a decent way of saying it. That one want makeover. But the while on the street will say, like, you got for so and so something and so make him over. Right? You want go back in something and make him over. So when I hear the president say reciprocity, I say, this banner one retroprocessing, he can make over. But I can't say it on the program the way I would say it, you know. What did they say about the cylinder and the shaft? Is it the shaft? Those of you know mechanics, somebody tell me the shaft, some things, the cylinder, FUHS, I think. Or FUH, I can't remember correct spelling, man. I don't even go wrong there. But it pronounces like one of them nasty, dirty movie that's called in decent language. Right? So we just say them banner, you got retro process them. Now man want to go back inside a certain place and make over. But anyhow, it's Free Talk Friday, and I tell you all the truth, you know, sometimes this program gives me energy because I wake up feeling quite dreary. But as soon as I heard the president say what's the word? Reciprocity. Twice. So you can't get it wrong. Reciprocity, you can't get it wrong. Hear me clearly, read my lips. Reciprocity. We're going to break the locks. That is a powerful man. A man who, throughout his presidency, continues to make us embarrassed. Anyways, morning, are you morning? What causes you consternation? Things like those cause me consternations. And look, hear me. I also, it's in the news now. I'm also informed of the demise of yet another young person in this society, allegedly by reckless police action. A 16-year-old is now lying cold, dead, because according to allegations, the people who are supposed to be sworn to serve and protect thought it within the best interest of the citizen and law enforcement and everything else that is decent and humane to corner a 16-year-old on a motorcycle because he's attempting to get away from them. High-speed chase. That is what is reported. High-speed chase. Now, let me bring in Wayne because he's here. And I want us to talk about this one together, perhaps. Wayne, welcome to the program, part. How you do?
A pleasant good morning to you, Comrade Kedaki, and your viewers, Buxtonian Morning Time. Good evening. Good morning to you all. It's good to be here, Kedaki. It's good to be here.
Good. I know you were in the studio. I don't know if you were hearing what I was saying previously.
Yes,
Did you hear
yes,
it?
I was.
Right. And so I'm talking about this incident that happened in Borbice over the last 24 hours, last evening sometime. A 16-year-old, according to news reports, may have been there, just on me buy him and sell him. May not sell him for profit. Right? A 16-year-old apparently was out riding a motorcycle. And the police might have had reason to stop him or whatever. And he decided, well, I gonna beat a hasty retreat by me stop him. And the police engage him in a high-speed chase. He subsequently died. The allegations are that the police cornered him on the motorcycle. As we would say, the police jam him motorbike far along for stopping. I saw the video of a young man mangled. His bones are protruding out of his skin down by the ankle. His head, as far as my conclusion, bust open. It's an image I've seen and I know I can't show on social media because they most likely will block the program. But here is a human being lying in maybe pints or gallons of blood. As I said to somebody this morning, this banner bleed out the blood like a hog on the road. Right? All allegedly because the police engaged him in a high-speed chase. The police is saying he ended up like that because he crashed into a lantern post. Right? My thing is this. Number one, the motorcycle must have a registration number, I assume. Number two, with all of the cameras that they got all over this country monitoring your every movement, it should not be too difficult for the police to trace the motorcycle to its rightful owner, whoever the owner is. And number three, the question is it worth the risk? Is apprehending somebody for breaking the law, in this instance, most likely a traffic offense, which has not yet been proven, which is assumed, right? Is it worth the risk that the policemen place themselves at and place the civilian at to engage in a high-speed chase in effort to apprehend this person, to investigate them for a crime, perhaps? Is it worth the risk? Is it worth the life of that young person? And so here we have another youth. It's not the first incident of that nature. Remember, years ago there was a major crash
Yes,
up.
with the car on the bridge and thing. Yes.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was the Mahaika Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Correct.
a police
Correct.
high-speed chase again. Aren't we learning? Aren't there standard operating procedures as to how you deal with someone who is attempting to evade the police? Is there any SOPs preventing high-speed chase and the endangerment to people's lives and assets and everything? But here is the Home Affairs Minister once again promising us that we are going to get an impartial and full investigation. The type that took place when the young man was murdered at Cove and John, not so long ago.
Correct.
And while there were bits and pieces of evidence to suggest that he was beaten by the police, the Home Affairs Minister was forced to say there's no evidence that he was beaten by the police. When you live in what I consider developed society, albeit it falling from grace, sorry, Donald, but when you see these things happening in this country, what are your thoughts?
You know, Kidaki, and you know, I'm Guyanese born, so I got to see Guyana a bit before I migrated here, right? And what I'm seeing in Guyana is totally uncivilized. Now, we're talking about fighting crime, right? They don't have nothing outside of them chasing that young man and having him run into a light pole and absolutely killing himself, right? Number one, the reports were conflicting because the first report didn't say that the young man was being chased by the police, right? And the police would have jammed his motorcycle and all this type of stuff. It wasn't said in the first report. I believe it is spirited citizens who would have given an account of a different story, and the story is the truth, what the citizens are saying, that the police would have made contact with the motorcycle. Now, guys, you know, you guys remember back in the day how it works with police officers. And Kidaki was right when he says that, you know, the motorcycle would have a license plate and registration. You can just take that down and you keep on moving. You could go back and check to see which lot that motorcycle is registered to, who the motorcycle is registered to, and you could start your investigation there. You know, a young man escaping the police once, he's going to say, okay, I can continue doing this. And there's going to be another opportunity for you to get to this young man. Or like I said, you could use the tread and you can track to where the motorcycle is registered. But these police officers in Guyana today, and their thinking, their judgment is poor, right? We've seen it over and over and over again. Look at the young guy in Sophia, Joaquim Shipio. You know, you just peeped through the gate or the fence or whatever it was and you shot him. You understand me? Poor judgment. Now, we're talking about a 16-year-old here. I am sure that the officers would have seen that young man in plain sight and see that that's a young person, right? There was no need for a high-speed chase. You don't just put the person being chased at risk. You also put other civilians and society as a whole at risk with him riding through at that type of pace and you chasing him at that type of pace. So that was poor work by the Guyana police force. And there should be some measure of repercussions. And that's the thing. The Home Affairs Minister come out and she says what she says. And Kidaki, these investigations, they are out there for a bit. And I've seen this over and over in Guyana. They're out there for a bit. And it's a trend for them to just disappear. You know, everything just goes silent, right? And I believe it's upon society, it's upon the holistic opposition to keep these stories frontal and hold this government accountable. Over to you, sir.
You know, thank you for that, Wayne. Let me say this. I heard you say is poor judgment on the part of the police. I don't think it's poor judgment. I think the actions are deliberate, and the actions remain deliberate because of the fact that, like you indicated, there are no real repercussions when these actions take place. The citizens, I mean, in Bobby's day, they took to the streets so long. I don't know how long, a couple of hours, if that much. And then everybody went into the comfort of their homes, I would guess. I just read somebody saying that the commander in the division has instructed his ranks to search the homes, the business place of two eyewitnesses or two persons who claim that they witnessed the incident. Immediately, that's intimidation. Intimidate the witness. So when you intimidate the witness, everybody else who knows or who saw is afraid to come forward. So intimidate the witness immediately. That is what the commander, I don't know who the commander is. Somebody perhaps could tell me who the commander is. I am already assuming who the commander might be. But here is the commander. Instead of really trying to find out what went wrong with his ranks or what part his ranks played in this disaster, instead, attack the witnesses, go and intimidate them. Good? And so when you have a system that protects the wrongdoers, then they don't need to exercise better judgment. They can be deliberate in their act, and that is exactly what they have been doing. They're very deliberate in the wickedness that they've been perpetrating and perpetuating against the citizens of this country. Listen, we're talking about police and their misbehavior. We just read that a 20-year-old policeman, I think, murdered a Cuban national. Right? Murdered a Cuban national. When I looked at the story, 20-year-old policeman apparently owns a car already. Right? 20-year-old policeman owns a car already. At most, if I were to use my little mathematical imagination here, I would believe that he left school at 18. Even if he joined the force at 18. 2 years ago, within 2 years, he is able to acquire a car as a policeman. Unless he was born with a silver spoon perhaps in his mouth or a gold spoon. But here it is at 20 years, a policeman, a police constable with a car. On a policeman's salary, I'm assuming. According to the police's statements and his confession, he carried, at least up to that time, an unlicensed firearm. It is an unlicensed firearm that he used to murder the Cuban national. Right? He used a teddy bear as a muffler to murder the young lady. Right? Wherever he lured and so on. These are not, you said poor judgment. These are deliberate acts. These actions are deliberate. And as it was mentioned about the unlicensed firearm, I asked myself, a few mornings ago, I broke some news on this platform. I think there were 7 missing firearms from Cove John. I don't know if you all remember that. 7 missing firearms from Cove John C Division headquarters. To date, those 7 missing firearms have not been accounted for, at least not to the public. As far as I know, it is alleged that the commander at the time said, those who want a concrete, let they go and look for it. The sergeant who was appointed at that time, not through promotion, but admin appointment, escaped with nothing but slap on the wrist for those missing firearms. It is alleged that a female caused to be returned to the custody of the Guyana Police Force, C Division, one of those firearms. No question was asked. The female wasn't arrested. No investigation was done. It is alleged that the commanders told them to simply take the firearm and put it back where it was supposed to be in the strong box. The question is...
No ballistic test, nothing.
Nothing. The question is, I wonder if the unlicensed firearm that this young policeman murdered this Cuban woman with is among the 6 that should be outstanding. That's my question. I want to know that. They say he's a serving policeman. They never said which station he operates from. I want to know that. Which station was he at? Because if we know the station that he was at, then maybe we'll be able to get some information as to his conduct and the man of policeman that he has been. And who perhaps is his godfather in the police force. So when these things happen, it's not poor judgment, partner. It's deliberate action. Deliberate action knowing that they are protected. Or at least deliberate action with the impression that they are protected. Because in many instances, when, as we like to say, the shit hits the fan, the veil of protection disappears. Because dependent on how nasty the shit is, not everybody wants to face up to. The citizens are the ones who will make a difference in this country in keeping the police in line, in keeping the government in line. That protest that started after that incident in Borbis, the murder of the 16-year-old, I'm calling it murder of the 16-year-old because as far as I'm concerned, it is murder. It is murder. I don't care if the police jam the bike, as we like to say, and cause it to go out of control. And eventually the young man collided with the lamppost. Or I don't care if the young man simply rode into the lamppost because he was being chased by the police. The fact that the police engaged him in a high-speed chase is contributory to his death. I see that as murder. I see it as nothing else because the police are to behave differently. Right? I'm not saying that our youths are not culpable. Many of our young people are culpable because he just finished writing CSEC and he's out there riding a motorcycle. I mean, at his age, 16, by 16, you should be able to get provisional license to ride a motorcycle. I don't know if he has provisional license. The motorcycle, there are things that it has to be registered, it would have to be like insured and all stuff like that. Right? I don't know if all of those things were in place. And so I can't pronounce on them. But I know a lot of our young people have been taking chances over the years where the law is concerned. What I do know, though, for a fact, is that the police are the ones in authority and the police ought to behave differently. They got the system behind them. And because they have the system behind them, they ought not to be operating like wilders, scrapeheads in the street. But when you look at what police do in this country, you conclude that there's a set of scrapeheads who join the police force to behave just the way they behave. And people like Onage Wall Run and Clifton Hicken and the rest of the hierarchy of the government and the police force permit it to happen. The citizens have to take back the country. They got to take back the right and they got to keep them in order. And for me, the only way to do that is by protesting, not just talk. You got to take to the streets of this country. Ghana deserves, in the 80s, I think the WPA did a long march or a long walk for democracy. We want many long walks to address the cost of living, to address the spiraling crime, to address government misbehavior, and all of that. That is why on the 6th of July, I have called for protest against the resurrection of the former president benefit bill. And a lot of people, major, senior, seasoned, deserving, whatever you want to call them, politicians in this country, seem not to care about when it is going to be costing this country an additional $100 to $200 million annually for 4 former presidents. Imagine what $100 million to $200 million can do for the citizens of this country in a year. But we are quiet about it. Just as though we're going to stay quiet, I guess, with the murder of this young man. Up until now, there has been no, quite frankly, revelation for me in relation to the young man who was murdered at Covent police station, where only said there was no evidence of him being beaten and so on. Citizens got to stand up and make demands. This is the only way we're getting changes in this country. Sorry to have you there as I rant, but we're having this discourse.
No. That's good work.
Over
right
to
there,
you,
Kedaki. Yes, thank you. And you was talking about the unlicensed gun that the police officer would have had. Listen, guns. I have never seen or heard of so many, unlicensed guns on the streets of Guyana. It has become a culture in Guyana, having firearms, and it is dangerous. It is extremely dangerous, right? We talk about guns missing from the Covent John police station. Now, with the guns that were missing, there's some key details that are missing there. Are the guns that were missing service weapons, or are they weapons that were confiscated? Right? We got to look at that. Right? There needs to be accountability. Guns can't just go missing. But, ladies and gentlemen, we could look at the Guyana Police Force, and we could look at other agencies across Guyana. All of these issues fall at the feet of the government, because I believe that the government of Guyana has removed all the guardrails that were in place to protect their citizens. Okay? The Guyana Police Force is not there to serve and protect the citizens. The Guyana Police Force is an arm of the government. That's why we're seeing the things that we're seeing today. If the government is lawless, then there's going to be a trickle-down effect, in all the agencies that fall below the government. And that's what we're seeing with the Guyana Police Force today. And I 100% agree with Kedaki when he says that the citizens of Guyana needs to take the country back. Yes, they should have started doing that like yesterday or the day before. Whenever a citizen leaves to go out in Guyana, every time you hit the road in Guyana, these days, you're playing Russian roulette with your life. Okay? There's so many ways that you can die. By accident, by gunshot, robbed and killed, whatever. And ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing responsible for all of the factors that I would have just spoken on. And that's poverty. The people of Guyana, they are impoverished. Okay? Young people in Guyana, when they look and they try to take a bird's eye view into their own future, they're looking at nothing. All right? They are looking at absolutely nothing. Where's the future for young people in Guyana? There's no programs in place. Look, in order to alleviate poverty, we need to have robust programs in place. We need to have housing programs in place. We need to consistently have a strong and robust job market. We don't see that. Right? They're talking about opening a bank to give out loans. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't solve anything. A $3 million loan cannot build a home in Guyana. It can probably barely get you a piece of land. All right? The salaries in Guyana is no good. So when you receive your salary, where are you getting the extra income to be able to save to actually put up a house on that land? Not possible. Not possible. And when you talk about having loans for businesses, you're telling me that myself, Sandra Hanover, Harriet Wilson, Sochu, Hector, Kidaki, Amsterdam, all of us are going to be opening businesses on one block, right? Every Guyanese is going to become a businessman or a businesswoman. Where does that lead us? Nowhere again. People's supplies are going to be spoiling because it's all of us doing the one thing. So this government that sits here right now in power does not have any vision whatsoever for the people of Guyana, because the government in the first place, it's not a people-centered government. It is a transactional government. So all they care about is the bottom line, that their investors are getting return on their investment into the nation. You all see hotels going up one after the other, right? You all see investors are able to come into Guyana and get large amounts of acreage of land, while the normal, everyday, born and bred Guyanese is suffering for one house lot. They got to wait decades. While we who live in the diaspora, I'm not just talking about the investors, I'm talking about us who live in the diaspora and have some money, we are able to come in to Guyana and jump everybody online and get what we want, because we come and do, we come and we flaunt our strong US dollar compared to the very weak Guyanese dollar in the quote-unquote fastest growing economy in the world, and we get whatever it is that we want. That's not fair. It could never be fair. The normal Guyanese is priced out of the real estate market in Guyana, totally priced out, not a chance. They cannot afford any homes in Guyana. They cannot purchase a home in Guyana. They got to hope and pray to get a piece of land, and then again, hope and pray to get money to be able to put something up on that land. Now it takes an entire family to build a house, and even that is a challenge. A child cannot say he or she is moving out from his parents' house because they met, let's say a young gentleman meet a young woman and they want to go off on their own and start a little family and start their life together. That is not possible in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the fastest growing economy with less than 1 million people. How are you as a government having a challenge serving less than 1 million people with so many resources around you, and we are seeing revenue coming into the country that we've never ever seen before? Rhonda Lane is saying, Wayne, don't forget the sanction kid got 8,000 acres of land. Well, everything seems to fall the way of the rich, while the poor continues to struggle. But I say this to the Guyanese people, where we are teetering on 60% on a 60% poverty rate and a 35 to 38% abject poverty rate. I say this to you, if nothing else, the only thing that you have as an advantage is that you have numbers. So what are you going to do with the numbers that you have? Are you going to sit down and continue to punish and live your entire life in poverty? Or are you going to adhere to the comrade who I'm here sharing this broadcast with, Comrade Kedaki Amsterdam? Are you going to adhere to what he is saying? As a leader, let's hit the streets. We can start at Buxton, right? There's the saying, little dirty does build big dam. All right? Doing something is better than doing absolutely nothing. I hand back to you here, Brother Kedaki.
You know, when thank you. These conversations, the time goes so quickly when you're having, or when they say when you're in good company, right? Because let me tell you something. We continue to talk about the fastest growing economy, but we also, at least some of us, are quick to recognize that despite the rate at which this economy apparently is growing, apparently, right? Recognize that the citizens, their lives are not being impacted in a positive way. I got a voice note this morning of someone asking why there so many Venezuelans are allowed to work in the society, undocumented and so on and so forth, and whether or not Guyanese could have gone to Venezuela and behave in a similar manner. Guyanese could have gone to Venezuela and get work. There were years when Guyanese went to Venezuela, lived in Venezuela, started families in Venezuela, and worked in Venezuela. History can tell you that. Large numbers of Guyanese. But whether or not they could have done it undocumented is another issue. Right? That's number one. And number two, whether or not they were treated as first choice to fill vacancies is another issue. And I know for a fact, Guyanese couldn't go to Barbados, Trinidad, Venezuela, any part of the Caribbean, any part of South America, and get first preference when it came to employment. Couldn't.
Yeah, they weren't treated well. Barbados specifically did not treat Guyanese well.
We couldn't. But here at home, Spanish speakers, foreign nationals, and I'm saying Spanish speakers and foreign nationals, to be very specific, because we have Indian nationals, we have Pakistanis, etc., employed in our country at front desk positions. And I'm pointing out the fact that they're employed at the front desk position. Even if it's in the Chinese supermarket, right? Now imagine going into a Chinese supermarket. The owners are Chinese. They speak Chinese. They can't understand, or they don't understand, or they pretend not to understand English language for the most part. The consumer has to deal with language barrier immediately. I come to you for a hard hat, and you can't understand that I need a hard hat. It is taking me longer than I should have been in your store to get a hard hat, because you can't even direct me to the aisle where it is. Oh, They got sales reps, or they got customer CSRs, then we call them that. Right? They got people on the floor and so on. And you go to one of them, and by the time you open your mouth, they don't understand English. It's a Spanish-speaking person. It's a Spanish-speaking person. So the owners of this business don't understand English. And the people they employ to serve the public don't understand English. What quality of service are our citizens getting in exchange for their money? Totally disrespectful. Totally disrespectful, but it continues to happen because, number one, the government doesn't care tree hang. The government has no respect for its citizens. Number two, and most importantly for me, the citizens are not demanding that respect from the government and not demanding that respect from these business people. I went into Quality Plus. Y'all know Quality Plus Bakery by the East Coast Car Park.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's owned by the Georges, Asafo George and the others. I used to love to frequent that place. As a youngster, I used to make it my duty. Yeah, at least I had to go there and eat once a week. I love their service. I love the quality of stuff they had and everything. And the other day I walked in there after decades, perhaps. And I went, I say, let me buy 2 cheese rolls, man. As long as I need these people cheese roll, let me see how it's going to cut. When you get to the front desk, the counter, the people serving you there are Spanish speakers. They are Spanish speakers. So if you have a request, they can understand your request. The time you have to spend to explain to them that this is what you want and not that what you want, or whatever they interpret on the bill, etc., is a waste of time. And sad to say, I'm very, very disappointed to see what I considered at the time a good quality Guyanese business, Afro-Guyanese business, managed the way it is in terms of your customer service. How you could get people who understand English delivering customer service to your English-speaking clientele. Y'all explain that to me. And that is what's happening across the country. It is happening with the Chinese. It is happening with the Indo-Guyanese owned businesses. It is happening with the Afro-Guyanese owned businesses. And I'm saying again, all of this disrespect is allowed to happen because, number one, your government doesn't care. And number two, the citizens seem to have lost the fight to demand from the government respect from the government, and to demand from the business people respect from the business people. Good? So I am saying again, look around, I will always refer to Albania because it's where the most recent protests took place when over a piece of land. Let me say over a piece of land. Right? Look around the world. Changes only come when citizens are prepared to fight their governments and to challenge the systems of their government. And as far as I know, around the world, most people do not sit and wait on a political leader to start those protests, to start those fights, especially if you hear your political leaders say they don't see the necessity, or I guess they see the necessity, but they don't have the energy to protest. The protest would have been started against those very leaders because They're supposed to be representative of the people. And if they can't represent the people, then the people have to protest them out of office and deal with their own salvation. And I'm saying to Guyanese again, the only way you're getting changes in this country, imagine you had a government in office previously that from the time it took office, and I'm talking about the APN, you would ensure that local democracy was activated or reactivated. Every time local government elections were due, they held it. Whether they win, lost, or draw, they held it. Here it is, you have a government that has been sitting in office, well, for the last 2 terms perhaps, right? And it's telling you it's not likely that you're going to get local government elections when they are due. And it's as if that fell on like water on duck back because nobody has reacted to it. No citizen, no community has risen up to say we will not allow this status quo to stand. The national political leaders have heard very little, if anything, from them in relation to those utterances that, look, local government election may not be possible with you. We as a people, we are continuously allowing our country, our democracy to slip and slide. And like it or not, unless we stop the decay, we have much worse to come. Just before I allow you again, Ray, let me say this. We talk about fastest growing economy, we talk about resources, we talk about, even as we speak, it is alleged that the road constructions happening across this country, more so in Region 4, that seem to be, I don't know, in perpetuity, then coming to an end. You believe that they can go slow. It is alleged that the government actually has no money to complete these works, and again has turned to China, maybe through the Belt and Roads project. I think there's the name of the project, I can't remember, but it's something to do with roads. For loans to complete these projects. And their understanding is, we will give you the money, we will manage the money, the Chinese will do the work. So China is funding the completion of these projects with Chinese labor and Chinese management. What the heck are we doing with a government that cannot manage the affairs of this damn country that got so much resources? Y'all tell me. Over to you, Wayne.
Thank you, Kedaki. That was quite a bit, but well said. Very, very well said. It's funny. We look at this whole Venezuelan thing. I want to start there. I want to go back to what the government of Guyana would have claimed to be a breach at the Guyanese-Venezuela border that would have allowed an influx of Venezuelans to come into Guyana, right? Listen, even to today, I look at that, right? And that to me was by design. And it has brought about ethnic ramifications in Guyana. We go back to adequate distribution of wealth across the nation. Okay, we see that at least 80% of the large businesses, it's more than 80% of the large businesses, are either owned by Indo-Guyanese, for the most part Indo-Guyanese, and then after the Indo-Guyanese, we have Chinese. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Chinese businesses that you see in Guyana is directly funded by the People's Republic of China. Right? In that case, the normal business in Guyana doesn't stand a chance competing against the Chinese businesses. And you guys, I don't know if you guys can remember what Barry Jagdeo would have said. There is nothing that he can do about the number of Chinese businesses opening across Guyana. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is no guardrails in place to protect the normal Guyanese businessman or woman. Right? That's number one. Number two, when we look at employment, right? Remember, again, distribution of wealth. Large companies in Guyana are not owned by Guyanese of African descent. All right? The Africans in Guyana, for the most part, would have been used by these businesses for employment. But they look at us and they see that we are starting to understand what is happening to us. That's why it's good to have these programs and other programs that edifies people. We are starting to understand the phenomena of what is happening to us, and we're starting to speak out. And because we're speaking out, because we are refusing the small wage, the inadequate wage that is being paid to us, that is not in line with cost of living and inflation, they would have went out and they would have brought in the smart. Don't worry, the breach of border. And Venezuelans are experiencing inhumane conditions in Venezuela. That's a front. That is it is an unpublished PPP mandate to replace the African labor with Spanish labor. And the normal Guyanese shopper, you are the ones who is going to feel the ramifications of the break in being able to communicate with these people and they being able to communicate with you. You're going to be having to point your items out. It's going to be a lot of issues with that. But ladies and gentlemen, when you look at Guyana holistically and the approach of this current regime, there is no place in their plans for the African Guyanese. Don't worry, the people who go out there and smile at you and show you that they earn a certificate from the Goals program. Don't worry that. Ask yourself the question, what countries are accepting that certification? Could that person come to the United States and be effective with that certification? That's a question we need to be asking ourselves. How valid is that Goals program? So as Guyanese collectively, and this is where I really agree with Brother Kidaki, and he has put forth a lot of initiatives. Yes, we can continue going to Parliament and we can continue to do that fight. But we must not take all our eggs and put in one basket. Because I'm going to tell you guys this now, it's going to be very, very challenging removing, and quite a challenge, removing the PPP or getting the PPP to work with the general opposition from just a parliamentary position. What Brother Kedaki is calling for on Monday, it is necessary and it is needed. Okay? The Guyanese people need to step up and they need to have their voices heard. We have spent years talking about MPs not doing their jobs and all of these type of things, and people have sat down and listened to that. But listen, the MPs and your leaders, they cannot be effective without you. They've got to know that they have the people behind them and beside them. So it is essential for Guyanese to get up and to show up and show out come Monday for this protest exercise. It is time. If you can't make it to Buxton, show up at the public road of the village that you're living in. Take the weekend and build out your placards. If you have old ones, get them into shape and get them ready. All right? And let's have a big turnout on Monday. Let's have a big turnout on Monday. Don't let Monday, the initial launching of this protest, be the first and the last. I must commend Brother Kedaki for being the first to take this step. And I've noticed over and over again, when it comes to protests, he is always the one that takes the lead. And he ought to be commended and respected for that, because no one else is willing to do so. And I see Miss Rhonda Lane is here. I want to say kudos to her too. Kudos to her too for speaking up, for being out in front of GCOM for those years. Sometimes 17 people, sometimes 13 people. But she continuously went out there. She didn't allow that to deter her. That's the spirit of a true fighter. And that's the type of spirit we need to see Guyanese adapting. We must fight. Our country continue to experience decay under this PPP regime. All right? And to specifically the African Guyanese in Guyana, specifically for you, you have a rich history. You must represent that history. It is part of your mandate. When you fail today, you're not just failing yourself. We need to think here. You're failing your children, your grandchildren, future generations, your bloodline. Okay? I must say, kudos to the WPA. All right? The WPA is that arm of this APNU coalition that takes a real frontal position on these key issues when it comes to hitting the ground. I believe that we have a lot of programs. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a program, but I'll be honest with you. I have considered, putting aside my program and doing something else in this fight, because I'm sitting and I'm believing that we're getting overloaded with programs and there's too much talk. The other thing, and this is not directed at the WPA, this is directed at the larger parties in the coalition. You guys need to get and put together a security system that's going to protect your people when they come down to Guyana. All right? This is not like when the coalition was in power. Voices of dissent against that coalition was allowed to come and go from Guyana without any type of repercussions, because the coalition wasn't about that. They were about serving the people of Guyana. They had bigger fish to fry. This regime that we currently have here is a petty regime. It's a cowboy regime. It's a gun-carrying regime. And we got to protect our people. All right? We got to protect our people. Sometimes it's not the leader on the ground in Guyana that may have the impact. It can be one of the voices of dissent out in the diaspora that may have that impact, or voices of dissent in the diaspora that may have that impact. Let's give them an opportunity to come home. Let's give them an opportunity to rally the people. The people need rallying. Look, ladies and gentlemen, in a way, I look at the people and I am totally sorry for them. Why? Because they have faced 23 years of this, and now they got 6 more years in them. And what they just say after the last election, 5 more years upon them. All right? In what Brother Kidaki and I would have just quoted, quote unquote, the fastest growing economy, that nothing is trickling down to them. All right? $100,000 cash distribution, nothing. That's nothing. That's 2 shoppings, and it depends on how large your family is. Right? That's not doing anything to alleviate poverty. Free university, good. All right. How am I getting there? It has become so much more challenging for Guyanese, born and bred Guyanese, to get jobs, because the jobs now are going to the Spanish. Right? The jobs are going to the Spanish now. So tell me, what have you actually done to alleviate poverty from a program's perspective? Because the free university, it can only work, you understand me, if Guyanese are able to go out there and earn adequately. That's the only way that it can work. So we the Guyanese people are still sitting down looking for those programs. And ladies and gentlemen, let me say something else. We in Guyana, we tend to do things a bit backwards, especially when you have a regime like the PPP at the helm. Ladies and gentlemen, they are incapable of running all the ministries efficiently. It is just too much work. So my thing is this: members of parliament on the opposition side needs to be paid adequately, and all on sundry needs to be working. This government doesn't have the correct vision for the people of Guyana. That's why they need to have consistent, continuous conversations between government and opposition. There must be engagement. And the engagement should be to look toward the betterment of Guyana, not what bottom line investors are receiving that are investing in Guyana. So as we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot move forward with talk. It's enough talk. It is time for us to hit the ground. It is time for us to hit the ground. Brother Kidaki has taken the first step, and I would call on all the other leaders to step in line with him. Okay? You were unwilling to put your character on the line, which I don't believe in this case is really putting your character on the line. It is standing up for the rights of the people. All right? It is not right for us to have unequal distribution of wealth. It is not right for us to not have a robust education system for our people. It is not right for 60% of Guyanese to be living in poverty. It is not right for 38% of Guyanese to be living in abject poverty. It is not right to see the amount of people across Guyana that are dying by either gunshots or highways and byways road incidents weekly, and nothing is being done to curtail it. It is not right to watch a judicial system in Guyana that is not working for the people of Guyana. Also, it is not right to have the robust amount of unsolved murders across Guyana. I talk Adriana Young. I talk Courtney Crum Ewing, Ronald Waddle, and so many others. The PPP is not serving the citizens of Guyana. They are serving themselves. While we watch their ministers build out massive homes, apartment complexes, who are not invested in malls. Everybody's invested in something. What about the normal Guyanese? Does anybody go and take that oath to actually serve the normal Guyanese? Or is it that we take the oath to serve our pockets? Audrey Brown, I see you mentioned the ex-president. What else does Jack Dio want? What else does Jack Dio want? You know, when you talk about increasing the retirement benefits for ex-presidents, you got to look at it and you got to ask yourself, what were their accomplishments? And I could assure you that this was not brought up by Comrade Granger. So who we're talking about? We're going to start with Comrade Granger. We got Jack Dio. We got Ramatar. And we got Samuel Hines, right? Those are the four living presidents that we have, right? I believe that I'm correct. No. Look at their bodies of work. Look at their accomplishments. Does it render anybody getting any increase in their retirement? Come on. We should be looking at increasing the pension from 46,000 and moving it. Like I said, we should have moved pensions to $70,000, $80,000, increasing it 10,000 every year, with the aim of getting to 100,000 per month. Look how you guys treat our pensioners, even the occupants of the palms. They are outside in the day, and when they lay at night, the bed bugs are having a grand feast on them. Aren't you guys ashamed of yourselves? You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you take to the streets, you're taking to the streets saying that this government is incompetent. When you take to the street, for each of you that take to the street, it shows a vote of inconfidence against this sitting government. All right? It shows a vote of inconfidence against this sitting government. And there's nothing to argue about, ladies and gentlemen. They know what they're doing. There's nothing to argue about. They never ever argue, at least with me. They don't. They know what they're doing. We are on to what they're doing. And I call on Guyana, all of Guyana, and I say this to the East Indian brothers and sisters. You guys believe that you're safe? I'm here to tell you that you're not. Right now, you're being used. You may not be facing, some of you, not all of you, some of you may not be facing what the African Guyanese is facing today, but it does not guarantee that you will not be facing that tomorrow. Stand up to the issues. Do not take a racial stand. Do not. This government believes that they got Guyana all wrapped up and locked up and Guyana is going to be theirs. That's not the case. That is not the case. You're going to face serious challenges. Yes, you will be challenged. And I'm going to also say this because a lot of people, you know, they get gun shy. They don't want to say certain things. I'm going to say this to the large economies of this world and the people who are having an impact on Guyana, they know themselves. I'm going to say this to you that you're absolutely wrong with what you're doing. And your position is not just a position that put you in a position to benefit from our resources. Your position is a position that is punishing all Guyanese. And I'm going to say this with no regrets whatsoever. Whatever I say, there's no regrets. For once, ladies and gentlemen, in Guyana, with this oil resource, an opportunity was created, or in the process, it should have been done. It should have been done that way, where the African Guyanese is able to experience some measure of equity from this oil find. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't sit well with people, and they know themselves. Our foreparents should have never emancipated themselves. They should have stayed under the direction of their colonial bosses, managers, masters. But because we have emancipated ourselves, it has left a bitter taste in people's mouth. And they know that that is the absolute truth. So therefore, they're unwilling to allow us the latitude of equity in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. But like our foreparents would have done, ladies and gentlemen, we need to take that same position and stand up, or else we will not have future generations in Guyana. And if we do, we have to be careful that there's not a reversal back into slavery for them. The other thing I want to add, what this government is doing today, and Brother Kidaki touched on it, the underhand borrowings, right? When you talk about transparency, the underhand borrowings without being transparent, all right, is going to have a major, ladies and gentlemen, a major impact on your children, grandchildren, future generations, future bloodlines. Because we are going to be in such a deficit in Guyana. We are going to owe so many different people. All right? Taxes are going to be levied on our children like never before. The bridges and highways and byways, they are going to be tolled. They're going to put tolls there so that the investors that your children, you and I didn't make deal with can recapture their monies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at the time. It's now 7 minutes to 9. I know this is a free talk, a call-in Friday. I don't want to take up any more time. If Brother Kidaki is there, I hope that he can come in back and let's take a few calls. Brother Kidaki, oh, that was a long one, my brother, but thank you for allowing me the latitude.
I'm right here. Yes, I'm about to open up the lines. I see 2 voice notes I want to play before I open up the lines. But before I do that, let me say this. I see some utterances on the chat. I most times don't respond to utterances on the chat. But let me start with Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan said we got big up on it, Ferguson, for starting the protest against the former president's benefit bills yesterday. Big up yourself on it, Ferguson. Big up yourself, but how is it I didn't know that Annette had a protest yesterday against the former president's bill? I didn't know before, and I didn't hear of it during nor after, and I'm now hearing about it. I hope I'm not upsetting Annette or anybody here, because I spoke to Annette earlier in the week. Annette called me and we spoke earlier in the week. And there was no indication that Annette was going to be protesting yesterday. And I'm saying that to say this. CAMS TV is everybody's platform. CAMS TV is everybody's platform. You notice our logo? It says the People's Station, and I always see that anybody, whosoever will may come. But you gotta come through me to start with. I can't understand why Annette didn't say to me, Mr. Amsterdam, I'm going to be doing this protest on Thursday. Could you share it with the public so at least they can come out and support my effort? Could you come out and support my effort? You see, a lot of us say we do a lot of things, but we do a lot of things with too much secrecy. We do a lot of things as if we are ashamed of what we were going to be doing or what we will do or what we are doing. Or we do a lot of things, as sometimes I say we do just enough to say that we are doing. And that defeats the purpose. It defeats the purpose. This is a plea. Stop behaving as though it is not your right to protest. Stop behaving as though you have to start protesting like a thief in the night. Serve notice on the nation that you intend to protest, when you intend to protest, and where you intend to protest. Let the powers that be decide how they will deal with that information. Y'all stop this creepy crawly attitude. Because the philosophers ask the question, perhaps. I'm no philosopher. If a tree fell in the forest and there was no one to witness it, did a tree fall? If a tree fell in the forest and no noise was made, did a tree fall? You might turn up years after to find out, oh shoots, like they found the other day when they were looking for the aircraft that went down. They found that there were several wreckages at the bottom there. They eventually got to where those wreckages were, and then they could get a history of them, and so on and so forth. If we don't publicize our disagreement with this bill and all else that the government is doing, we are wasting our time. We are wasting our time. That's why I kept saying, I ask you to share the poster on social media. Keep liking and sharing it, because the more you like it, the more you share it, the more the algorithm picks it up, the more people get to see it, the more the world knows that you are against this government and the former president's bill. We can't do this in secrecy. We cannot. Rhonda Lane asked the question, maybe I think she said, remember or remind them who started protest in front of Jacob. I generally have no interest in claiming any first, second, or third. I want to claim action. I want to claim action. As long as there's protest, I don't care who called for it. I don't care who started. Yesterday I was walking in the village and a man stopped me, say, get out here, I hear you calling for protest. There's a WPA protest. I said it's a protest. It's a protest. But I'm just asking if it's a WPA protest. I say it's a protest. What we need in this country is protest. A lot of us like to label things and we want to label things, and then we use labels as excuses for not participating in things. Oh, it's a WPA protest, Miami is PNC. Oh, it's a WPA protest, Miami is win. Oh, it's a WPA protest, me is Anglican, them people is Christian. It's a protest. This country needs protest. I'm a community activist. I'm a leading member of the Working People's Alliance. I am human. I'm a citizen of this country. I said we need to protest the injustices in this country. Y'all don't try to put me in a bracket or put this protest in a bracket. We need protest against the resurrection of the 2009 former president's bill, because it is going to be putting an additional $100 to $200 million in the pockets of 4 people. When there are thousands of people who are suffering because of the hardships in this country. We had mentioned the pensioners. You know what $100 to $200 million could do in the lives of the pensioners? I'm not an economist. I know nothing but money and financing or government financing. But I know that my little research tells me that $100 to $200 million could give public servants at least 1% increase in the wages and salaries. It could make a difference as to whether they eat shine rice or they eat greens and vegetables. As a matter of fact, it could make a difference as to whether they eat fruits or they don't eat fruits. Because the PPP jackass prince said you can't pour and want to eat fruits. You can't rich and want an excess of $100 to $200 million added to your largesse so that you could eat imported foods while the citizens of this country are sucking salt. Let me play those voice notes and then open the lines.
Good morning, Brother Kodaki. Brother Kodaki, you know something is very disturbing now at the schools, that adults walking into schools and assaulting people, children in schools when two children might got a disagreement and adults going into schools and assaulting children. And it is very disturbing. The ministry need to look into these things very serious because, for instance, one school, St. John's College, a couple of days, this disturbing story happened, and the parents got to keep their running at station to get that person arrested. The ministry need to look into that, into those situations at these schools. What the guards them is doing, what the headmistress of that school is doing, that people could walk in and injure people, children like that. It is very disturbing in this country, and the ministry need to look into it. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. Mr. Amsterdam, why is Guyanese, especially Afro-Guyanese, not coming out to protest on the street? Yeah? Look what happened to that young man last night or yesterday evening. It is wrong. People need to start holding the police force and the installed government accountable. Only just only come out when certain ethnic group is being affected. She just only come out then. Guyanese, you people need to stand up. It may not happen to your child today, but it may happen, something may happen to your child tomorrow. Y'all need to stand up. I wonder if anybody on the APNU side is taking note about all these atrocities that happening to these people in Guyana. I only hope the APNU or the Win Party is keeping a log on what is going on. Enough is enough. Look at the condition of that young man yesterday. According to people that was the neck break, like his foot break. It is terrible what is going on in Guyana. Guyanese, it's time you people come out and protest every day. Something is happening in that country. The PPP is no damn good for the country, none whatsoever. When they're in there, they push the racism. Guyanese, Guyana got 6 races, and you people need to come together and live as one. The PPP have to go. They have to go. In that, whenever the election is called, people must not vote for the PPP. They must go. Enough is enough. It is terrible what's going on in the country. It's a shame. It's a shame. I'll wake up, man. I'll wake up. It's time.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, Mr. Daniels. Quick. Couple of things I kept so far since the program, since listening to the program. Let's start with this protest thing. Mr. Amsterdam, let's face facts and be real. All right? There is so much of things that are going on inside of this country. It needs protest. Ain't got if buts about that. But this country is so divided that people will talk one thing and do something else different. When protest time comes, everybody who's be talking, you don't see them, right? And by this place is so divided that Guyanese will, I wish the day when I see every single Guyanese come together and hold any government, whether it's this government or any other government, accountable for everything. But it won't happen. I wish if I could live to see the day when it would happen, right? We are too divided. People will say one thing, and then when you call protest, it's something else. That is one. Secondly, as Mr. Daniels was talking about the poverty and the development bank and all these kind of things, and offering the loans, the $3 million loan supports to to expand their business and possibly set up new businesses and all these kind of things. And Mr. Daniels make a good point here. If you're going to be doing all of these things, if as a young person you want to set up a small grocery place somewhere in one of your communities and that kind of thing, you got to be competing with 3 different Chinese supermarkets within the same community. There is so much things that you got to compete with this, that even if you're going to take this loan, you don't even know what to do as a startup business is. Yes, you might get ideas, right? You might get a lot of ideas, but when you look around, right, you gotta compete with Chinese supermarkets and all these different kind of things, and then you have people in your community and surrounding areas and so forth. Before go to the Chinese, and I'm not only talking about one race. I'm talking about Indians. I'm talking about blacks. Everybody. Before go to the Chinese and go other places before they come to support your business. So it's a serious thing. It's a thing that needs serious looking into. Anyway, you gentlemen have a blessed and wonderful day.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam and viewers. We're not getting free cash grant. Nothing is given to us because the amount of head movements you got to do before you could get registered. When you collect the check, it's the same thing. Once you want to go through the bank, you got to move your head left, right, center, hold your check and smile. What all for? If you're giving your citizens something, which, let me tell you something, we ain't in slavery, there was than slavery. There was than prison. Like if we are in jail, I don't know days what stage we get, but it is stinking. Now, I haven't registered because they are saying that you have to get a bank account. Now, I can't afford to put money in bank. When I go and open a bank account, it is not cheap. It is not easy to get a bank account. You got to do all kind of things, spend money to open an account, to put in 100,000. When I take out back the 100,000, when would I go back to the bank? At 56, where you walk in. Now everybody went out and work where they getting NIS and wherever. So where are you getting the money to put in an account? You can barely eat. You can't pay your bills. When the government, we poor people got to pay the government. It's when it's supposed to be the other way around. Poor people got to pay their own and pay the government's own. So where are you getting the money from for putting account? Where are you getting the money to put in account? It is unfair. So we're not getting no free cash grant. They're not giving. You have to work fit and work very hard. Because I am to know the people that don't need a bank account or can't afford to open a bank account, they might reach the cash grant for them yet. I don't know when it's going to happen.
You imagine the fine 33 AK-47, and you're hearing nothing in the hands of the PPP supporters, and you ain't hearing nothing about it. Is the black people in the police force and in the army, is their own guns gonna kill them. Their own guns gonna kill them. You imagine in Guyana, the opposition can't use the word corruption in the parliament. The whole parliament should have done broke up a long time. You could have to suspend everybody. Guyana, this is something I've been saying all along since the last government, the last 5 years. I've been saying that. You imagine in Guyana. Good morning, Kodaki listeners. The opposition parliamentarians, they should be bringing people out to their communities to join you in the protests. If each of them bring about 20 people out to the community, is a lot of people. They should bring people out to the communities. They ain't serving no purpose sitting down in parliament. They can oppose none of the laws that PPP want pass. So it's better to bring people out of the communities, join the protest, and make a big protest. This is something I've been saying all along.
Morning, Brother Kidaki, morning, viewers. Morning, all right thinking Guyanese. Brother Kidaki, there's a lot to say. That's what is going on in this country, Guyana. Every day is something, When this thing will come to an end? You see, Mohammed, As I tell you, Muhammad will never join the afternoon. You understand me? He will never, ever join the afternoon. Come on, bro. Look what this man running after. This man running after over the opposition GCOM commissioner. Come on, bro. That is what this man running after. And this man running forget a answer to him. That's what I tell you all. I tell you, I see all in the way see break up from the PNC. All them break on the PNC. The intention was to go with Muhammad. But Muhammad didn't win. There's the intention. Understand me? Look at this one called Amanza. Look she now. Look she like a drunken straw. Fighting for being on the committee. What they know that what she know that she don't have the amount of seats in parliament to be on the committee on the committee. Come on, bro. When are we gonna wake up in this country called Guyana? The PPP and the win are destroying our nation. They're destroying our nation. What happened to these fellas in the diaspora? They're not calling for the opposition leader to go in front of GCOM. Come on, Mr. Arbeid hasn't done it. Come on, bro. You see how you are one-sided? You are fighting for a criminal just like the PPP. What now? He's the opposition leader. Let's show the power that he have. You understand me? GCOM chairman need changing. Let's go in front of them protest. Let's carry them and don't stuck on them scrape heads that left their own party for run with he. Let them go and get them for going in front of GCOM to protest. You understand me? This is what we have to face in this country. The PPP and Muhammad are destroying the black people in this country and the entire country. That is what they're doing. That is what the place left to do. Come on, brother, we wake up. These people.
Yeah, so I'm on right now. I want to be one of the first to say I support this initiative. My name is John Thompson. I'm not a hider. I don't hide. Everybody know who I am. I think a lot of people know who I am. So I'm excited about what I'm hearing here, but I want to add a little bit to it. For us to have some real success and results, we also need to hear from party leaders, members of parliament. I'm talking from the opposition on this initiative. We got to hear from them too. It got to be a collective effort. The people have to have some kind of encouragement also. Yeah, the people can come out, but we need to know also, just like how the leaders need to know that the people are there and ready to work with them, we need to know that the leaders and members of parliament comes out also, right? So as a social media influencer, I want to say I support the protest and against this corrupt PPPC party, which is so obvious. It's all in your face. It's vexing to see these people getting rich. They have no conscience, and it pisses me off. And I'm sure it pisses off a lot of Guyanese. And I want to also say, seeing that personally, I know I'm not on the ground. I do a lot of talking. When I end this conversation, Kadaki, hit me up and let's discuss how I can contribute. I'm not telling you I could just run down to Guyana and have boots on the ground and be there, but I know I can contribute. And other influencers and other individuals in the diaspora that care about what we're seeing here, we can support. And you know how we can support financially. So just hit me up, and I hope other influencers and leaders and members of parliament will come in and say, hey, on Monday, we hitting the road. We doing this together. I want to also call out on my leader, the guy that I support, Mr. Azadeen Muhammad. I would like for him to reach out to you and, organize a way he can contribute to what will happen on Monday. Yeah, you said Monday, right? On Monday. All right. So it gotta be a unified front. And we need to hear from the leaders from the different parties. Right. And I want to say thank you, Kadaki. Respect out to you that you actually started this thing. Everybody know what we got to do, but nobody really wanted to do it. And you're ready to do it. And I'm here to support. Right. So thank you guys for listening to me. John Thompson. Bye-bye.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Thank you for taking my call this morning. Now, this morning, because the protesters are not showing up, your supporters, 109,000 of them went to Azadi. You have this one calling you and putting you in the same thing. That's why they're not showing up. And the 70,000 you guys have, they're old people. They can't make it out. What I've been telling you this a long time. You got to try to get back your supporters from that guy. Another thing with the GCOM commissioners. Um, for the past 6, 7 years, the GCOM commissioners are there, the opposition GCOM commissioners, and you guys have been crying for biometrics, you're claiming rigged elections, all sorts of things. They're not competent, so get rid of them. Mr. Alexander and all them, they're not producing, they're not giving you guys results. So it's time now for them to go try something new. Because they're there and you guys keep crying rigged elections, rigged elections, rigged elections. They can't get the chairman to side with them for nothing. So then they're not competent enough. Get rid of them. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Amsterdam. Have a blessed day.
I think those are the I played those were the voice notes that had to be played. Wayne, over to you.
You know.
All right, we got a call.
Yeah, take that. Yes, please.
Call you on. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Mr. Amsterdam. To my friend Wayne, welcome. Morning to you too. Two things I want to touch on. One is a little bit off of the program this morning, but the first one I'm going to touch on. We all seen what's going on in South Africa, right? And Kadaki, you mentioned about the Cubans, they taking up all kind of jobs, etc., etc. That the locals are able to take up, not that the locals don't want, right? They're able to take up and they want those jobs. While I'm not in total agreement with what is going on in South Africa because it's Afrophobia and not xenophobia, because they're only targeting one set of people, one race of people, the Black Africans, right? And even the legal Black Africans, those who've established businesses in Guyana, when are we going to get a protest against the foreigners who are taking up our jobs that our people want and are not given? Our people are not given these. Is that it's totally different from what's in South Africa? Is that people want to stand up on a corner of the street and fry corn or sell food and ain't getting a chance to do that? Those front desk jobs, I'm sure that we got people there will take it up. Those cleaner jobs in hospitals, I'm sure we have people there that will take it up. And this protest that has started in South Africa is a political leader start the job. It's activists like you, Mr. Kadaki. And this is the stance that people got to take. Stop waiting on leaders. Leaders are there to make deals, and we don't want deal maker to lead protests. We want you guys to lead protests, people to come out on the street and lead protests. The next thing I want to touch on, they got his book. I wouldn't even call the name because I don't want to hit the algorithms getting hit. We got his book, right? This racist book that has been published by an Indian man about something that happened in Linden. I wouldn't even call the name, right? The thing that is hurting me is to see academics, see intellectuals on all sort of programs, Black intellectuals and academics and all kind of programs, giving this book oxygen, because the more we discuss about this book there on wherever program we got, the more this book is selling. This book has been received well by the Indian community. What we're supposed to do to stop the oxygen flow of this book is publish our books and publish the truth. Where are the books about Son Chapman? Dr. Hines spoke about the book that I forgot what witness that Brother U.C. Koyana wrote, right? Why are these books not in every single Black homes? Why are we talking about a book and asking the people to withdraw whatever they said about the book? They will not. They will not. Where are our people to start writing our books and publishing our history and put it in every single room. We got brother Mr. Green, Hamilton Green. He's very old, but he has a wealth of knowledge. We're going to make that go to his grave with him. Like what we say, a lot of ideas are in the grave. We're going to make Brother UC Kriana go down and don't chronicle these things. People are citing this and citing this commission, that commission. Put it in a book and stop talking about the Kuli book. Stop talking about it because it's a lie, and we all know it's a lie. Tree go down is not a I don't even want to call the word. Anyhow, y'all have a good day.
That was actually well said there, Comrade Wayne Archer. Thank you for that. Kidaki, that is in line there. That is in line. We have Baba UC Kwayana, who has a wealth of knowledge upstairs, and so is Comrade Hamilton Green. We need to capture that. We need to capture that knowledge in books, right? We need to do so. Also, we need someone to sit down and write a book on the extrajudicial killings.
All right, wait for me to take this final call.
Take it. Yes, please. Do take it.
Final call for the day.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to Wayne. I'm glad I could talk to you here now. All the things that you have said, it's rightly said and so on. But two things. Now, people, I would hear you on your programs. I'm quite certain you notice my absence from your program. I used to be on the protest, and coming back to protest, Kadaki, I should have explained it properly that the protest that was started at GCOM, it was not started by any leader of a party. That is what I should have gotten. And you would not have said what you have said. But I can understand because I put it over, it was not explained. But I didn't mean it in such a way how it went over to you. I just meant that we were affiliated to parties. I wasn't this in my party, but we saw the need for a protest and we started it at GCOM and it ended up how it ended up. We asked the things, and one thing that we didn't ask was the phones not to be in the voting compartment. I pressed that and I got it allowed not to be in the voting compartment, but coming along. Now, when you would stem out how the opposition, the opposition must be a combined opposition. After what went on the 2nd of September, and Leader Norton stretched his hand out to the other opposition member as in Win totally refused to join with Norton. I could remember standing up at GCOM many Tuesdays when Win used to come and curse us out on the protest line. Tell me all kind of thing. But the black subtlety and all kind of thing. Win used to say it. The only time that Win went out in the thing of protest was to be made the leader of the opposition to get into parliament. And the Uncle Martin in the other party to spite him, they make up the mind. You could first carry the horse to drink the water, like how the ABC country said, swear in. And they made certain that he was being placed as the leader of the opposition. And what they are doing, whenever the ABCs have got to parliament only then, they do not want him in parliament. And I believe Winseed said that he would have feel more comfortable working with Aubrey Norton as the opposition, moving along. Now with this boy and this motorbike, we have got to know so many things that caused his death. Now, y'all know I had the problem with the police. When the police came to my home, a police vehicle with long guns and all kind of thing, with all how I am. And now people may look at me, they say, come to the station. Was a Friday like today? I the cleaner may also say, I'm bad. He said, go and bed and come. And the police stood up at my gate. They didn't come in my yard. And I went with them. If the police tell you stop, is stop. And I want to know whose bicycle he was riding. Now, just now, my sister bought a bicycle on the 2nd of April this year. She got to use a motorbike to do her work. She paid $250,000 to the bicycle. And you know, last week, Tuesday, they stole her bike. She had to go back, a poor woman, a single mother. She had to find another set of money. Can we say, I'm not saying the police is right in whatever they did, however this child died, but young people, the police stop your thing. For months, people keep years, people talking about what is going on. And these youths continue to do daring things with vehicle. And right now, they like to look at the bikers outside. Right now, in all the regions where they got proper roads, they are bicycle gangs. The little children doing it with the ordinary bicycle, and those who little bigger than them with the electric bike, and then the big ones them on these bicycles. They have no respect for their lives. But when I'm glad that you are on, and for the protest, we will be on that protest. But if I go to the protest and I see one wind body, I am coming home. Bye-bye.
Thank you for that, cause sometimes let me say this. I always say that I'm an equal opportunity beater. In that when I vote for causes, I like say this cost everybody that I get cost. I wonder this morning, be careful because I'm gonna cost you. Right? We have to stop this nonsense. We gotta stop this nonsense. If Rondo comes to the protest and she sees one win person, she gone. Well, sweetheart, let me tell you something. This is a national issue. This is a national issue. The members of WIN are citizens of this country. They have as much a responsibility as you have and as I have and as WIN has to protest this situation. And so we can't be discriminatory and say WIN is not welcome. Every single Guyanese has a responsibility and should be protesting this bill. Even them who are part of the party that protest that proposing this bill. So the whole of the PPP, welcome on the protest line. So long as you are there to protest against this bill, I don't care what you look like. You could look like Ali and all. So let us stop this nonsense. Let us stop it. And that is why I said earlier, somebody asked me if it's a WPA protest, and I said it's a protest. Because when we start to compartmentalize things, we give people excuses to stay away from it. And we also give the PPP a free pass on it. Let us work together as a nation to protest this particular bill, among other things, among other excesses of the PPP. I don't care where you look like. You could green in personal. As an individual, you have an option which end of the protest you want at. If when they're on the southern end that you want to go to the eastern end, you're away from WIN. It's as simple as that. When we go to Freetalk Bacchanal, is the good, the bad, the ugly, indifferent? Everybody in the Freetalk Bacchanal. We don't say if Kidaki going to the fete, me going because Kidaki just drink Banks beer and I like drink Stag. No. Sometimes we have to move away from what I call pettiness sometimes. Let me tell you this, and this is no secret. I've said it from the time Azruddin Mohammed, well, entered into the elections race. I've said it, and I'm going to say it again. I'm no lover of Azruddin. I'm no defender of Azruddin, because I know that Azruddin has been in bed with the PPP since Noah was a boy. The Mohammeds have been in bed with the PPP since Noah was a boy. The elder Mohammed said when Donna McKinnon was murdered at Freedom House, they had guns in Freedom House. They weren't the defenders of black people, and they weren't necessarily lovers of black people. And that will forever be in the forefront of my mind. That will forever be in the forefront of my mind. But this is a Guyanese issue. And for as long as you're a Guyanese, and even if you're not a Guyanese, as long as you're standing up against the PPP and their covetous and wicked ways, you're welcome to protest. I said before, I'm going to be in front of Buxton from 10 o'clock. I don't know where anybody else is going to be, but I will be in front of Buxton from 10 o'clock. You protest where you want to protest and how you want to protest. If you feel like stay in front of your village and protest, it would be nice to have people in front of every village in this country protesting, because then people will see it's a countrywide protest. There's no need to centralize it. But of course, people have choices. If you want to be where Mr. Amsterdam be, fine, you're welcome. John Thompson called and he said I must call you after the program. And you're going to arrange for when to join the protest or wherever the interpretations are. I see people talking about the political leaders. When people talk about the political leaders, I usually ask myself, what am I? What am I? What am I? Part of the problem in this country is that we believe unless is a doctor, and that's why Ali went and got a doctorate but can't call the word reciprocity. A total embarrassment to UE. And we must put UE on the front burner too. How is it UE can claim that they awarded a doctorate to a man who can't pronounce simple words? Can you imagine a Cambridge graduate standing up and talk about reciprocity? That's an aside. Right? That's an aside. Part of the problem in this country is that unless you're a doctor, unless you're a lawyer, unless you're a multi-billionaire businessman, people do not believe that you have the interest of this country at heart. It's only rich people and literate people can have the interest of this country at heart, and it is that very group of people who've been frigging it up all the time. So we have ourselves got a lot of undoing to do to undo this situation in this country. We gotta undo the thinking that say that if you're wearing suit and tie, you're not a political leader. If you're not in parliament, you're not a political leader. If you're not this here, what am I? Even if I'm a rabble-rouser, I'm a citizen of this country, and I'm saying that we need these actions. We need these actions. So whosoever will, may come. Whosoever will, may come. I ain't telling nobody if you're going to hug up and love up and kiss up and lift on a pedestal people who they got questions about. But then people got as much right to be protesting this government as you got to protest this government. Wayne, it's almost 10 o'clock. It's 23 minutes to 10. Your sayings and your closing, please. Thank you.
Yes. Well, first of all, Kidaki, I want to thank you very much because, you asked the question, what am I? Speaking of yourself. And if you recall early on the program, I came out and I called you a leader because that's what I see you as. So thank you very much. I appreciate that because we're seeing eye to eye on that. So that is great. I'll say this respectfully, and when we analyze and we look at things and we look at what people say, we have to look at it carefully. And what Kidaki would have uttered, it's a national issue, and therefore, the protest is open to everyone. I totally agree with that. But yet, I want to lean a little bit to what Miss Rhonda Lane would have had to say. Right? What she had to say, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll say this respectfully, I believe Rhonda Lane is a giant amongst women. And in this fight, she's a titan. Okay? So you ask me the question if I believe that Rhonda Lane should be there. Yes, it is necessary for Rhonda Lane, Miss Rhonda Lane, to be at the protest. That being said, I understand the position that she is taking because, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot get amnesia. The leader of the Win Party did say on the record that he was willing to work with the PPP for the best interest of the Guyanese people. So what happened to the APNU? Look at their track records. And that he didn't want to work with Comrade North. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you know something? You got to be man enough, because if you're man enough to say certain things, you got to be more than man enough to walk it back. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say that Ms. Rhonda Lane has a right to take the position that she has taken. Because Azruddin Muhammad has yet to walk back those statements. And I'm going to tie in something that Brother Kidaki would have touched on. I want to just add a little more. Ladies and gentlemen, riches doesn't equal wisdom. Riches doesn't equal leadership. Okay? Does not. All right? When we look holistically at the opposition from a political perspective, not talking protest and all of that is involved, but I'm looking at it from a bare political perspective. The APNU/WPA coalition is the party that has the experts. All right? Whether you like it or not, we have seen a lot of inconsistencies from the lead party in opposition, the Win Party. And their leader is still to stand up and take his place as the leader of the opposition. Everybody was in a rush to swear him in. You know what leadership is? Azruddin Muhammad should have already been engaging Comrade Norton to pick his brain, Comrade Hines and these guys to pick his brain to get their knowledge, to get a good understanding of what it is that he would have, I don't even want to say inherit because he didn't inherit it. However, he would have gotten there. All right? Because as far as I'm concerned, I have so many questions about the 2025 elections that have not even yet been declared. Right? I would just call that an allocations of seats. And the Win Party would have gotten the 16 and the APNU gotten the 12 and the Forward Ghana Movement gotten the 1 seat. Nevertheless, I want to stay kind of like on the protest track here. Let's all show up. All right? There are many PPP supporters out there who is not pleased with the performance of this government. Here is your opportunity. We have 6 ethnic groups within the confines of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And you're all invited to come and stand up and place your vote of no confidence against this government. And I see a comment from Brother Egerton Davis, who happens to be on the broadcast. He is saying all the opposition leaders should come forward and publicly endorse this initiative. And I believe that that would be massive if we can see all the opposition leaders coming out and endorsing this. Okay, today's Friday. I would say you guys have until the end of Saturday. Don't wait until Sunday to do it. Do it on Saturday so that the Guyanese people can see. Do it on Saturday or do it today so that the Guyanese people can see. This will further encourage them and give them the motivation to want to come out there. And to the extent, guys, your schedules are open at that time, come out and stand in solidarity. It's not just the whole thing with the president's retirement benefits. But oh my goodness, government is failing to give the normal services to the people of Guyana: water, light, energy, whatever you want to call it, healthcare. Okay, the Guyana police force is running down and killing people, children. There's so much. There's a preponderance of issues. We're not coming out to look at just one issue. That one issue is key, yes. And the holistic issue of poverty. Okay? The holistic issue of poverty. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's come out, let's stand up, and let's stand out for our rights and our liberties. This government have removed all the guardrails of protection for the people of Guyana. This government is completely undemocratic and is unwilling to engage. Every time we go to Parliament, is a supplementary budget. Government spending audited for 2024, 10 to 15% only of government spending audited in 2024. $1 billion in waste. Ladies and gentlemen, think about what $1 billion can do for our teachers and nurses. And to improve better living conditions for Guyanese. That's just $1 billion out of that small percentage. Government spending must not be condensed. There needs to be comprehensive audit of the entire government spending for 2024. We need to know how much, the Guyanese people need to know how much they're losing per year under this government. They need to know. They have a right to know. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining in and listening in today. It was a pleasure being here with you this morning as I prepare to hand over back here to Brother Kedaki. Look, I encourage you guys, man, to come out on Monday. This can be life-changing. This can be life-changing. You are sat down there for 23 years. You see what you would have experienced under this same regime. You had 6 years now under them. In what is quote-unquote the fastest growing economy, nothing has changed. Well, it is time for you, the people, we the people of Guyana, to stand up and fight to bring about that change. Trust me, your leaders are going to join you. I am confident, specifically the leaders of the APNU WPA coalition is going to join you guys in this fight. So come out, ladies and gentlemen, on Monday, the 6th of July, and show up and show out for democracy, for your freedom and liberty, and holistically for a better life. Brother Kedaki, I will call you after the program, as I would like to make a contribution towards this process. And I encourage other social media personalities to join me, and let's contribute it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's a contribution to building back up our villages, because our villages has experienced decay for decades under this PPP government. Victoria should be a little city, all right, being the first village. Look at Victoria. Kedaki, thank you for having me. I hope that this is not the first and the last time. I hope to be back here with you.
CAMS-TV is the People's Station. Thank you for being on, Wayne. And contribution, I hear you say you will call to make a contribution. You have made a contribution and you continue to make a contribution. And the other social media quote-unquote influencers that you'll be asking to make a contribution, the greatest contribution we can make is organizing the people. Spreading the word that on the 6th of July, we are going to have this protest, hopefully across this country. I know I will be outside of Buxton there from 10 o'clock. That is the greatest contribution I think we can make. Let us get the world to recognize that we are totally against this attempt to continue to steal more of the nation's money. Thank you, Wayne. The caller that you had expected me to answer when he called and talk is nonsense. Yeah, and the president in the same boat, so I ain't got much to tell you. I tired every morning calling anybody full name jackass and so, but he needs retro processing, just like his president needs retro processing and believes in reciprocity. I know nothing but reciprocity, so I can't be reciprocal if there is such word with you. But I can play this to you. The evidence is.
And if there are economies in the region that will continue to lock our products out, we're going to break those locks open because we believe in reciprocity. Reciprocity. We are ready to break the locks.
Yes, fear. We have to clean about the highway, but you know, say it's time for them to go to school now. Oh, you know, I have them out here idle. You see me teach them to read and write. Johnny, my boy, mama send you to learn.
And if there are economies in the region that will continue to lock our products out, we're going to break those locks open because we believe in reciprocity. Reciprocity. We are ready to break the locks.
Yes, fear. We have to clean about the highway, but you know, say it's time for them to go to school now. Oh, you know, I have them out here idle. You see me teach them.
One challenge I got for y'all over the PPP. Y'all put the spelling of the word in the public so we can learn from it. You must give us the meaning too. And then you could call this program and talk nonsense. Right? Because you and all who calling for talk nonsense, y'all need to be retro-processed. And I can repeat that one, retro-processed. You ever hear about reverse engineering? If y'all want some reverse engineering. And with that said, join the protest. It's on the 6th of July. It's CARICOM Day. And I deliberately chose CARICOM Day because I know why all y'all gonna tell me y'all gotta go to work. It's not working day.
And if there are economies in the region that will continue to lock our products out, we're going to break those locks open because we believe in reciprocity. Reciprocity. We are ready to break the locks.
Yes, fear.